I want you to think about a specific feeling for a second. Um, it is a season of life that almost all of us hit at one point or another. It usually just kind of creeps up on you,
Yeah, it really does.
right? You are putting in the work, you are waking up early, doing all the right things, checking all the boxes, you are setting your goals, maybe keeping a positive attitude.
Grinding away.
Exactly, grinding away. And yet, nothing is moving. You feel entirely frustratingly stuck. You are waiting for a breakthrough. You are waiting for that next chapter to start, but the needle just refuses to budge.
It's an incredibly draining place to be.
It really is. It is like running full speed on a treadmill that someone else unplugged. And if you are listening to this right now and nodding your head, you are exactly who this deep dive is for. Welcome in.
Glad to be here.
We are looking at a really fascinating piece of source material today from a platform called Unstoppable Morning. The text is titled, 7 Things You Can Do to Position Yourself for Increase. And it tackles this exact feeling of being stalled out.
It's a very timely topic.
It is, and the core premise here is incredibly empowering. The argument is that breakthroughs, or what the material refers to as increase, do not just happen by random chance or some arbitrary stroke of luck.
Right, it's not a lottery.
Exactly. This framework operates from a faith-based viewpoint, suggesting that God has already prepared the blessings, the opportunities, and the favor you are looking for. So the question isn't whether or not that increase actually exists out there somewhere in the ether.
Right.
The real question, the one that puts the ball entirely in your court, is this: are you actually positioned to receive it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we're really talking about is the concept of prerequisite.
Prerequisites, I like that.
Yeah, the source material points out a fascinating pattern found throughout biblical history. Before significant increase or breakthrough is brought into someone's life, there is always a preliminary phase.
A setup phase.
Precisely. The framework suggests that a person's heart, mindset, and actions must first be prepared. It is a holistic alignment. You cannot just simply desire the opportunity. I mean, you have to be structurally sound enough to handle it when it arrives.
That makes a lot of sense.
Today's deep dive is essentially a roadmap for that alignment. We're going to explore 7 specific, actionable things this material suggests you can begin doing today, like right now, to align your mindset, your heart, and your daily habits.
So that you are actually positioned for the exact increase you are waiting for.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this because the material gives us a very clear step-by-step breakdown. Let's start with the architecture of belief, which really covers the first and third principles in our source: expectation and words.
2 massive concepts.
Huge. Principle 1 tackles what is presented as one of the biggest barriers to increase, and that is low expectation. The logic here is so simple, but so piercing. When you expect little, you prepare for little.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It really does. If you do not actually believe a breakthrough is coming, you aren't going to build the infrastructure to support it. The material references a piece of wisdom from the book of Proverbs that I think captures this perfectly. It says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but faith restores it."
That's a powerful quote.
Isn't it? When you have been waiting a long time for something to happen, it is so incredibly easy to let your hope defer and just put on this heavy armor of cynicism.
Yeah, it is a classic defense mechanism. We lower our expectations so we do not have to process the pain of getting disappointed again.
Exactly.
But the text suggests a very specific practical morning habit to counteract that instinct. It recommends waking up each morning and consciously, explicitly believing the thought, something good is going to happen today.
Just right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. Now, analyzing why this matters from a psychological perspective alongside the spiritual one, expectation is not just wishful thinking. It literally creates the space for opportunities to materialize.
How so?
Well, when you expect something good, your brain's filtering mechanism, the reticular activating system, kicks into gear.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, think of it like deciding you want to buy a red car. Suddenly, what happened?
You see red cars everywhere on the highway.
Exactly. You see them everywhere. They were always there, but your brain was filtering them out. By setting a positive expectation, your brain is now actively scanning your environment for opportunities instead of threats. You shift from a defensive posture to a receptive one.
I hear what the author is saying about expecting good things every morning, and the red car analogy makes total sense. But I have to ask, does this framework address the risk of toxic positivity here?
That's a fair question.
Because how is this different from just blindly wishing for things, ignoring reality, and ultimately setting yourself up for an even bigger disappointment when the day goes off the rails.
That is a great distinction to make. The framework isn't advocating for ignoring reality or pretending bad things don't happen. It is about your fundamental orientation. Toxic positivity demands that you feel happy all the time, regardless of the circumstances.
Which is exhausting.
It's impossible. What this text is suggesting is a posture of active anticipation. It is the difference between saying, everything is perfect, and saying, I am keeping my eyes open for the good things that are possible today.
Dicey.
You are essentially telling your environment, and in the context of this faith-based text, telling God that your door is unlocked and open, even if it is raining outside.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the text does not just stop at what you were thinking in your head. It links this internal expectation directly to Principle 3, which is about guarding your words.
Yes, the spoken word.
The source maps out this incredible causal chain that dictates our reality. It argues that your words carry literal power. What you speak consistently begins to shape what you fundamentally believe. And then, what you believe shapes how you live and act. It is a direct pipeline from your mouth to your mindset to your reality.
It's a feedback loop.
Exactly. If you're walking around all day saying things like, nothing ever works out for me, or with my luck this is going to fail, you are actively constructing a reality where increase cannot survive.
Exactly. The text contrasts that common phrase, nothing ever works out for me, with a much more intentional declaration. God is working things out in my favor.
That is a huge shift in tone.
It is. It challenges the reader to transition from narrating their setbacks to actively speaking faith. This requires you to critically examine your own self-talk. It is worth asking yourself right now, listening to this, what is the default script running in the background of your mind?
Yeah, what are you muttering under your breath when things go wrong?
Right. According to this philosophy, your words are never neutral. They are actively doing one of two things at all times. They either invite doubt, which reinforces the walls that keep you stuck, or they make room for increase, expanding your capacity to receive. It is a call to be a very strict gatekeeper of the words you allow yourself to vocalize.
It's like you are the architect of your own waiting room. Are you building a room where doubt sits, or a room where opportunity can walk in?
Precisely. And what you do in that waiting room matters just as much as what you say.
Which brings us perfectly to the next thematic chunk of this text, focusing on the power of present action. This covers Principle 2 and Principle 6, faithfulness and momentum.
Two very practical steps.
Yeah. I want to linger on Principle 2 for a second because it deals with something we all tend to overlook or, frankly, just despise.
Which is?
Staying faithful in the small things.
Oh, yes. The unglamorous work.
Exactly. The source is so good here. It notes that so many people want this massive life-changing increase, but they completely ignore the small, seemingly insignificant responsibilities sitting right in front of them.
We all want the highlight reel.
We do. The text references the biblical teaching that those who are faithful in little will be trusted with much. And it uses these vivid historical examples that just paint such a clear picture.
Like David.
Yes. Think about David. Before he ever became a legendary king, before he faced a giant, before he wore a crown, he was out in the middle of nowhere smelling like livestock, faithfully caring for sheep.
Just doing the daily grind.
Right. Or look at Joseph. Before he was the second in command ruling all of Egypt, he was serving faithfully as a prisoner. He was managing operations inside a literal dungeon.
What's fascinating here is the pattern being highlighted. We tend to view the mundane, repetitive tasks of our lives as mere distractions.
Like they are in the way.
Yeah, we see them as annoying stepping stones. We just need to get out of the way so the quote-unquote real life can begin. But this framework reframes the mundane as a vital testing ground.
The testing ground.
Yes. The idea is that God is actively watching how we handle the small, unglamorous assignments before releasing greater opportunities. And it makes logical sense even outside a spiritual context.
How do you mean?
Well, if you cannot manage a small team, a tiny project budget, or a small sphere of influence with integrity and excellence, why would you be handed the keys to an empire?
That is a harsh reality check.
It is. Faithfulness today is the literal infrastructure that prepares the door for tomorrow's increase. It forces you to stop looking so far down the road that you trip over the step right in front of you.
But that raises a big question for me. If you are stuck doing the small, mundane things perfectly, if you are just being the best sheep herder or the best prisoner, how do you ever get to the big things?
That's the trap we fall into.
Right. Does this philosophy suggest we just sit there waiting for someone to notice how great we are at the boring stuff?
Not at all, and that connects directly to Principle 6. Keep moving forward.
Okay.
The material explicitly states that increase rarely appears while someone is standing still. It meets people who are already in motion, people who continue walking in faith even when they do not see the full picture.
It rewards action.
Yes. Think about the physics of it. You cannot steer a parked car. It requires immense force just to turn the wheel. But once the car is rolling, even just a little bit, steering becomes effortless.
I love that visual. You have to be in drive even if you are just idling forward.
Right. The advice here is to take the step you can take today. We often freeze because we do not have the 10-year plan mapped out in high definition.
Guilty as charged.
Most of us are.
Okay.
But the text challenges you to just do the immediate next right thing. It gives some grounded, everyday examples. Learn something new, grow in your character, or simply serve exactly where you are right now.
Just do something.
Exactly. Every single step forward, no matter how small, creates momentum. And momentum is the vehicle for what is being prepared for you. It is the active, physical demonstration of that expectation we talked about in Principle 1.
Okay, so we have the architecture of belief, we have the power of present action, and now we move into what I think might be the deepest and maybe the most uncomfortable part of the text.
The posture of the heart.
Yes, the posture of the heart. This brings us to Principles 4 and 5, gratitude and release. Let's talk about gratitude first.
It's a foundational concept.
It is. Principle 4 is all about keeping a grateful heart. We live in a culture that essentially monetizes our dissatisfaction.
Oh, absolutely.
Every algorithm, every advertisement is designed to point out what you lack. It is so incredibly easy to doom scroll and focus entirely on what we don't have.
It's engineered that way.
It really is. But the text notes that when we obsess over the lack, we completely miss what has already been provided. The solution presented is to actively start thanking God for what is working in your life right now.
Shifting the focus.
Exactly. By doing that, you aren't just being polite. The argument is that gratitude actively grows peace and joy within you. It keeps your heart open, and an open heart is a strict prerequisite to receiving more.
And that openness is absolutely critical when we transition to Principle 5, which is about letting go. The text provides what I think is its most striking visual metaphor.
What's that?
God cannot fill hands that refuse to let go.
Wow.
Yeah. This raises an important question about our personal capacity. We often pray for new blessings, new relationships, new seasons of growth, but our hands are in a white-knuckle grip around old things.
It's like having a closet absolutely stuffed with clothes from 2014 that do not fit you anymore, but you're complaining that you have no room for a new wardrobe.
That is hilarious, but so true.
You literally have to take things out and throw them away to create the physical space.
That is a perfect analogy. The text asserts that sometimes true increase fundamentally requires release. It creates a psychological and spiritual vacuum that demands to be filled.
And the material is very specific about what we need to drop in order to enter that next season. It's quite an intense list.
What's on it?
It calls out old habits, negative thinking, toxic relationships, and past disappointments.
Past disappointments. That is a heavy one.
That last one is so huge. How many of us are carrying the heavy baggage of the thing that didn't work out 5 years ago, or the business partner who wronged us, and we are letting it dictate our expectations for today?
Too many of us.
It is like living with a terrible roommate in your head, rent-free. The author uses this striking metaphor, warning readers that they cannot bring the quote-unquote poison of a past season into the harvest of the next one.
The underlying logic there is undeniable. If you do not release and forgive, you will continue to be drained by those toxic elements. You will lack the energetic and spiritual capacity to steward the increase when it finally arrives.
You just won't have the energy for it.
Exactly. You have to create the vacuum for the new things to fill. Which brings us to the final and perhaps most universally challenging element of the text. Principle 7. The crucible of waiting.
Yeah, the material flat out admits that Principle 7 might be the absolute hardest part of positioning yourself for increase. Trusting God's timing.
It goes against our nature.
It really does. We are wired for instant gratification. We live in an Amazon Prime culture where if something takes more than 2 days to arrive, we are tracking the package and complaining to customer service.
Where is my breakthrough? Give me the tracking number.
Exactly. We want our answers right now. We want the breakthrough right now. We want the change, the promotion, the resolution today.
Right.
Patience is not something we are naturally good at, especially when we feel like we have done the work, we have cleared out the closet, we have stayed faithful, and we are ready.
But the text offers a profound realization that requires a major paradigm shift. It says, what feels like delay may actually be preparation.
Delay is preparation.
Let that sink in for a moment. We almost always interpret waiting as a denial, a red light, or a punishment.
We take it personally.
We do. But this framework, looking at it through a broader spiritual lens, reminds the reader that divine timing is rarely rushed. The concept is that God sees a much wider landscape than we can see from our limited vantage point.
We just see what's right in front of us.
Right. We only see our immediate desires, but there are perfectly timed doors that can open in unimaginable ways if we simply allow the process to unfold.
It's hard to accept that when you're in the waiting room.
It is, but the delay is not a penalty. It is the final polishing phase. It is protective. The advice given here is to stay faithful, stay hopeful, and fundamentally trust that the timing is being orchestrated perfectly behind the scenes.
What feels like delay may actually be preparation. That completely changes how you view a waiting room.
It reframes it entirely.
It makes the waiting active, not passive. It means you aren't just sitting there, you're being equipped. So as we bring all of these incredible insights from the Unstoppable Morning material together, the ultimate takeaway is a total reframing of how we view progress in our lives.
It's a complete shift in perspective.
The framework makes it incredibly clear. Increase doesn't actually begin when the physical blessing or the promotion or the opportunity finally arrives in your lap. Increase begins the very moment your heart and your mindset align with what is meant for you.
The preparation is the beginning.
The preparation is the beginning of the increase.
To recap the roadmap this source has laid out for us, it requires a deliberate choice to expect good things every morning, to stay faithful in the mundane and unglamorous tasks, to strictly guard the words you speak into existence,
Right.
to maintain a posture of gratitude for what is already working, to let go of the past baggage you are gripping so tightly, to keep moving forward even in the dark to build momentum, and finally, to trust the timing of the entire process.
It is quite the checklist.
It is. The text actually includes a wonderful community prompt for its readers, asking them to declare increases coming as a way of putting that faith into verbal action. Every new morning is just another fresh opportunity to step closer to this prepared life.
A fresh start.
Exactly. So I will ask you, listening directly right now, what stands out to you from these 7 steps? Which of those specific areas is demanding your attention today? Are you struggling with your words or maybe holding on to past disappointments?
So what does this all mean? We have covered a lot of ground today, from the power of our words shaping our reality, to the reticular activating system finding what we expect, to the necessity of emptying our hands of toxic habits so they can be filled with something new.
We covered it all.
But I wanted to leave you with one final thought to mull over on your own as you go about the rest of your day. We discussed the profound idea that a delay is actually just preparation for the breakthrough. But consider this.
Yeah?
What if we have the order entirely backward? We spend so much time thinking of the waiting room as the obstacle and the breakthrough as the finish line.
Right, that's the standard way to look at it.
But if the waiting room is where all the actual growth, the character building, the resilience, and the true alignment happens, is it possible that the preparation phase is actually the main event of your life?
That's a deep thought.
And when that big breakthrough finally arrives, the real work doesn't end. Maybe the breakthrough is just the starting gun for a completely new, even more difficult season of preparation. Think about it. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you on the next Deep Dive.